Let's write mom, dad, grandma, and grandpa in calligraphy together. Now this is perfect if you enjoy making greeting cards or gifts that you want to write there how you call your parents or grandparents on the card or on the gift tag. So first, mom here, written in a traditional calligraphy style based on the copperplate script. We are using a small tip brush pen for this example. So on the top here, you have mom written in the basic way, and then underneath, Jordan is writing in calligraphy, adding flourishes. So she's extending different points of the letters to add decorative strokes. For the M, there are two different spots where she added the flourishes coming off of the main stem and then going underneath the word. Now here at the end, she's adding a decorative flourish to fill in that space and make it a little fancier. So now I am going to show you mom in a modern style. So this is making it a little bit more of a bouncy, casual, and fun look, but with the same tool. So it's a small tipped brush pen. So this is how I would write mom in modern calligraphy. Okay, moving on, let's do dad. This is a copperplate capital D in calligraphy. This is a beautiful style of calligraphy that's based on historical examples. And the basic version is pretty basic. So you can see here she's using her basic strokes with the ovals for the A and the D. Now she's going to add some flourishes to her letters, so extending the end of the D into an additional loop that curves back in towards itself. The A she's going to do just as normal, and you'll notice that flourishes don't go on every single letter. They just go on strategic parts, and you can kind of choose where they go and what they look like. So here's just one way of flourishing dad in calligraphy. And of course, now I want to show you the modern version. I'm going to use looser letter forms that are a little bit more bouncy, a little less strict adhering to the rules, adding in some open loops like that part of the D is a little more open. And that's what bounce modern calligraphy would look like. Now we're going to move on to the grandparents, capital G. To me, this is one of the hardest letters to do in calligraphy because there's a lot going on there. But Jordan did a beautiful job writing the G in copperplate calligraphy. So she is finishing up with the first part of the word. So grand is going to look the same whether you're writing grandmother, grandfather, grandma, grandpa, however you're going to write it. And I know lots of people have fun, different names for their grandparents, like Papa or other fun names. So this will hopefully just give you an idea of how you could write Grandma and Grandpa. Okay, now Jordan is moving on to the flourished version. Look how beautiful that G is with the extension of that loop. So in the top, the part of the G with the curve ends with a little dot, and in the flourished version, it ends with a beautiful swooping flourish. Up until this point, the letters are exactly the same as they would be in the traditional version above, but you can see the top of that lowercase d looks a little different, and you'll see why in a second. There we go. So she's added a flourish on top of the D, and then at the end of the A, we're adding another beautiful swirl in. So for a modern version of that word, we're going to make it a little more loopy, a little more bouncy, a little less strict, still using the main basic strokes and basic tenets of calligraphy with thick downstrokes, thin upstrokes, but certain parts of the letter I'm bouncing right here below the baseline. Certain parts go above, certain parts go below. I tend to make my underturns, like this part of the A, go under the baseline a little bit. Okay, let's go to our last word. So for grandma and grandpa, like I said before, grand can look the same in either version. So really the end of the word is what's going to be different. Now, the P is one of those letters that has lots of different variations in calligraphy of the actual letter form. So in copperplate here, we have a very tall stem, and then this is one way of writing the P. I'll show you the modern version after she finishes the flourished, but that's the basic way of writing these letters. Now to add on the flourishes, you can bet that she's going to extend, oh, so beautiful, extend that part of the G into a curve. It actually looked different than her prior flourished G, which is the cool thing about flourishing. You can mix it up depending on the word that you're writing and try different styles. Now, again, starting that D with a thin line at the top and making a different variation of the P is going to open up some more opportunities for adding flourishes onto those letters. So here's the beautiful D flourished at the top, the A curling into itself at the end, and then the lower part of the P mimicking that top curve of the D and then adding some extra curvature to make it look super fancy. You can leave your flourishes thin, or like she's doing here, you can add a little bit of shading on certain parts of them, but you don't want to go overboard. Okay, and lastly, we'll do the modern calligraphy version, adding some bounce. R is one of my favorite letters in modern calligraphy because you can make it super fun and loopy. Then the N is a good one to dip below the baseline. I always add a little bit of a loop inside of the D to make it look more modern. The P is going to be an interesting twist, so I've got a little bit of extra work going on there in the P. And then finally, the A will curl back into itself. So thank you for watching this demonstration on how to write mom, dad, grandma, grandpa in calligraphy, different styles. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and you can download your free worksheet in the description below.